Welcome to the Combinations Podcast, the podcast from North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare NHS Trust. And today we are talking about the Wellbeing College. This is something not new. It's been just celebrating its third birthday, but I'm excited to say I have the team who helped run it and get this whole community of the Wellbeing College as good as it is. So I'm going to welcome the team. Hello, everybody. If you can give a slight introduction to who you are and what you've done for the Wellbeing College.
I'm Jane. I'm Jane Simner, Recovery and Experience Lead. I have senior leadership over the Wellbeing College, but I also love to co-produce and facilitate workshops myself. It's lovely having that time with our college students and working with peers to produce really lovely workshops.
I'm Claudia Lepska, Wellbeing College Coordinator, and I've got lived experience of accessing services, mental health issues and neurodiversity. As a part of my role, I look after new partnerships and existing partnerships within the Wellbeing College, as well as co-producing, co-facilitating workshops, social media, any printed stuff, any posters, any graphic design stuff, and lots of things in between as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Chiara Barbaro. I am the student support / trainer for the Wellbeing College. Similarly to Claudia, my role is a lived experience role, so I've got lived experience of living with mental illness and neurodiversity. As I mentioned, my main role is to be the first point of contact for new students coming into the college or existing students that may have reasonable adjustments or any questions. And that's the bit about the job that I like the most. I also co-deliver workshops that I've got lived experience of.
Hi, I'm Shireen Khan. I'm the Senior Peer Support Worker in the community for the Trust. Been in this role 3 years. What I do for the college is I co-produce and deliver a variety of workshops. I think there's around 7 or 8, and like the other ladies, I've got my own lived experience, and that's all I need to say.
Welcome everybody, and it's good to hear how diverse you all are within the Wellbeing College and bringing those skills to it. And obviously it's grown over the last couple of years. You've just said you've celebrated your third sort of year, or is it term? Not term. I don't want to say season either. It's the third.
We like to celebrate it as a birthday, actually, because every prospectus, every term is a little bit of a labour of love, coordinating it all and coordinating everybody who's going to contribute to the workshops and working with our partners to get to the point where the prospectus is done. So at the end of that academic year, and the beginning of the new academic year, each time we've celebrated our achievements as well, but given the opportunity for students to come in and celebrate their journeys in that year, and invite people, partners and potential new students to come and get to know us in a more informal way, really. So we had a really innovative, cool celebration event this year. We decided we didn't want to go with a indoor party setting. We went out into Westport Lake and we set up a treasure hunt with various points around the lake. So we put all the drinks and snacks and things at the furthest point of the lake, and encourage people to go around and then have a refreshment break and carry on looking for the clues. And at the end of that, there was a medal and a sit down and an opportunity to have a look at some of the workshop we've got on offer this term and have a little cake with a college logo on and just spend a bit of time with us chatting. It was absolutely lovely. It encouraged people to be outside in nature, accessing our local community areas that are free, stretching our legs, stuff that we like to do as Wellbeing College team that keeps us well as well.
I would like to add we also had human clues. This is really important. And one was a banana and one was a bird watcher.
Amazing. What a great way to celebrate the third birthday for the Wellbeing College. And it's obviously been a journey to get here. The question obviously I want to ask is, for any listeners who don't know what the Wellbeing College is, what is the Wellbeing College? What's the mission of it? And who can get involved?
So we offer recovery education workshops for absolutely anyone over the age of 18, living, working or studying in North Staffordshire. So by anyone, I mean service users, current service users, past service users, carers, friends and family, members of the public who are just curious about a subject that's on their prospectus, as well as professionals. And we do find that we do have really rich groups of students attending the sessions. You always have a nice mix of a bit of everyone, which really helps everyone to learn from various perspectives, not only from what the facilitators are presenting, but also learning from each other. And professionals learn a lot when they come along. They learn a lot from the lived experience side of things. And vice versa, people with lived experience, current service users or carers, for example, they learn a lot from that topic expert side of things, because every workshop that we do have in our offer is co-produced and co-facilitated by the same people who co-produce the session. So that means there is always what I call, and I really like that because it's very my language, you've always got the book smart and the street smart within the session. Open to anyone over 18, various group of people. There is no referrals. People can just self-enroll. They can fill in an enrollment form on our website or just get in touch with us. And they're in and they are fully in control of the journey that they have with us. So we'll never make anyone attend any sessions. We'll never prescribe any specific workshops unless we ask for recommendations. But people are fully in control of their journey within the Wellbeing College, and we are here to support their journey and support the goals that they want to achieve out of the journey with us.
I'm glad you brought up the website, because I was going to put that in the description of the podcast. So if anyone of Stoke-on-Trent and North Staffordshire wants to see what it's all about, the link will be below or wherever it is on the podcast platform that you use. Obviously, it's very community sort of led, not community, it's all about the community, isn't it? Like, you put it out there for pretty much anyone that falls into those categories, which is fantastic, which means it's not just for patients, it's not just for staff, but everyone in mind. And my buzzword at the moment is community. I think there is what we can build with the services and the partnerships that, what the Wellbeing College and as North Staffordshire combined can do is, I would say, quite important at the moment, especially with giving people education and being able to learn about things and themselves. And that's what I think the Wellbeing College does bring, not only to the trust, but to the community.
And that's a great point, and I think that the team will agree that we do want to be very close to the community, and this is where we are really, and we want to be present, and we are out there all the time, and we travel a lot, and we show our faces because we do believe that there's so much value and so much richness and meaning and everything within the community. We want to just link it all up. That's why we value the partnerships so strongly, because we want to connect with people who are already out there doing an amazing work, and we just want to see how we can come together to achieve the same goal, really, and don't work in silos, but just come together to create something that benefits the wider community. And this is why we don't, this is why it really works for us to be in various locations, not have one base where everyone has to come to, but travel across North Staffordshire with various workshops, so we are close to the community, and make it work for people that are out there, and constantly also asking for feedback from the community and asking for feedback from partners, saying what is it that's missing, what can we do differently, what can we do at a different location, because there is already there are people out there who want to learn and want to involve themselves in various things, as just getting out there and reaching them.
And for me, on that community, I think, lifelong holistic recovery happens in communities rather than just in clinical services. Getting well, staying well, and maintaining well-being happens in homes, high streets, community centres, community lounges, charity organisations, peer support sessions. That the students who come to tell us that they've had struggles or they're still struggling with their mental health. It's for all of us to exercise that healthy well-being and maintaining that.
There was just a point that I wanted to add as student support specifically. Kyle, when you asked about what is the college, how does it work, who can come, I think we are very, very lucky in the college because we are able to work really creatively. And that means not just because we are a very creative team, but because of the model of the college that allows us to use that creativity. So for me, the point I wanted to make is if anybody's listening and they've got any doubts or they're not sure whether it's for them and I'm talking about professionals, like Claudia said, service users, former service user, carers, please get in touch with us because it might surprise you what we can do to support you, or if we don't know the answer, we're quite linked in the community and within the trust and beyond, again because we are lovely but also because of the model. So if anybody's got any questions and they haven't asked yet, I would encourage them to do so. And that is something that we are all very passionate about, but me specifically, as I've gone through life with a lot of barriers out there, and when we manage to get through those barriers, it's just, it's magic. So please get in touch.
I think what's important is to mention the infrastructure of the Wellbeing College. Obviously, you lot feel like friends to the communications teams because we've seen you at events advertising the Wellbeing College. You've done seminars at our own events at Engagement at Combined and shown the connections that you want to work with the clinical staff and the Wellbeing College. And I think it's got community in mind, but it does have that clinical backing, but it doesn't feel as clinical as the NHS, even though it's run by North Staffordshire Combined. And I think that's where you've got the balance right. And you've also gone from the sort of educational college route with your prospectus and obviously being at those events and getting your name out there. So as the Wellbeing College, we've heard a lot of good feedback from it. You've mentioned how passionate you are with some of the workshops and stuff. So to see it grow and to hear how well it's going is brilliant. But what is going on at the Wellbeing College now then? So you've done your 3-year party. Obviously it doesn't just stop when the party stops. So what's going on this term at the Wellbeing College?
Oh, in fairness, it never stops. Even in the 6 weeks
the party
holidays, it never stops because we're always planning the next session, making new partners, working out how we're going to work with those partners. Is that through using their venue or supporting their service users, or just are they going to be a topic expert, or are they going to tell us that there's a gap on the prospectus and we need to go out to another partner to say people are asking for this? So the work never stops. But we've got new workshops, haven't we, ladies? Does anyone want to talk about their workshops?
This term, we are pretty much mid-term now. Yes, so next week is half term. So we have mid-term. It's the first term where we've managed to put together a college journey workshop. And that is a very useful session where we can explore what the college can offer, but from the student point of view rather than partnership or co-production. And again, as a student support, I teamed up with 2 current students of the college, so they are the experts by experience, and I am the topic expert, I guess, in this workshop. And we came together. They tell a bit about their story, how they got to know the college, and some of the goals that they had, and then they got more involved. They're both volunteers, and one of them worked for the college as well. So it's all to do with what what's out there. But like we said earlier, like you also said, Kyle, there's no pressure, and what we want is to empower people to get what they need from the college. And there's there's some gentle conversations there where we can do goal setting, but personally, I've always found that quite daunting when somebody says to me, "What goals have you got?" So it's this sort of creative, gentle way to do it without calling it that in a way. So we've run it once, and it was quite successful. But we've got it again at the end of term. So again, anybody listening, I'd say that's a great place to start your Wellbeing College journey, but we will run it again next term, and we've been working a lot more around goal setting and individual learning plans, which is basically setting up some expectations from what students want to get out of the college, and not everybody will know that when they come in, and that's absolutely fine. It's an optional tool, but it's been really interesting to realize that a few students that have been with us for a while, they've got clear ideas of what they would like to get from the college, and those that don't, we can certainly help. So that's a new one this term.
And overall this term, the autumn term, we've got 42 workshops, so yeah, we are halfway through. But going from 3 years ago when we launched our first term in autumn 2022, we had 8 workshops. To go into 42, we all think, I'm sure we agree, that it's quite a big jump and a big achievement in relatively short space of time when you think about it. We only have 3 terms a year only. We've got also a new workshop which is about ADHD. It's called Untangling ADHD, and it's come from a long kind of term ask from students, saying that there is a high level of need. I think everyone, you don't even have to work within mental health services to know that there is a big need for information and support for ADHD in adults. So we've partnered up with LifeWorks, and that workshop, as I think it was fully booked with a waiting list within 3 weeks of the prospectus launch, if not less. So clearly it is very, very needed. And I'm jumping ahead, but we do have future plans relating to the offer around ADHD, autism, neurodiversity to create some more sessions, because not only we know, and we have been asked for it from our students and from partners, but also we know it's ourselves being in mental health, but also we've got lived experience of that, so we can provide that perspective as well. And going back to the workshops that we do cover a wide range of subjects. So yes, the overarching sort of goal is to improve or maintain people's well-being, physical or mental well-being. But we go into diagnosis-specific workshops. We go into kind of lifestyle and life skills workshops. We go into creative and artistic expression type things, physical health. So all those sessions are, when you want to think about things that will help you feel better, they all sort of tick that box, if that makes sense. And the offer is, we always work really, really hard behind the scenes to make the offer as broad as we can, to ensure that people can find something for themselves within the prospectus.
So yeah, it's exciting to hear what's going on this term, and also to get a sneak peek to what's going on in the future. Good to hear that we've got a waiting list, especially the ADHD and autism. Obviously, there is a thing I've noticed around my own family and friends, is that some don't get diagnosed, but understand that they might have some of those neurodiverse traits just by their own children being diagnosed. And it can leave you questioning. And I think to have this support in North Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, to be able to just go to one of these workshops and just be around people that may be in a similar situation is excellent. And I guess that is why the waiting list is excitingly long in one respect. You talk a lot about these workshops, and workshops can be many of things and different learning types. I just want to ask, what is sort of what happens at a workshop? What can you expect if I was to come to the Wellbeing College? What would a workshop feel or look like?
So A workshop is normally a couple of hours long, and most of our workshops are one-offs, but we do have part 1 and part 2 sometimes, or slightly longer. But generally speaking, we're talking about one-offs, and that's also something that a lot of students find quite relaxing, because they don't feel like they've got to book on 6-10 sessions at once. They can just start with one. There will always be at least one member of the team. With team, I mean the college team. And there will always be a lived experience and a topic expert delivering the workshop. What I like to say to new students that may be a bit anxious about coming is, if all fails, you're going to have a nice cup of tea or coffee and some biscuits and fruit. And there's always fidget toys. People can't see me now, but I am fidgeting. So we try and be very accessible, and we not only because we come from lived experience, but also because we've got a passion and we want people to feel comfortable. We try and find ways to make everybody feel welcome, and we're very open to feedback. So when we do ask for feedback, it's because we actually look at it and we make changes and we have debriefs and we chat about that. So there will be content, obviously, because it's educational workshop. So we hope that when people leave, they leave with something new that they may have learned, or they leave with connection, which is possibly the most important part of our workshops. Some workshops are more psychoeducational, and we talk about a specific diagnosis, for example, like the ADHD that we've mentioned. Some are still meaningful and recovery focused, but more practical. So today we had a cooking workshop that was absolutely brilliant, if I may say so. And people, we had a cook-off, but we set goals the week before. It's a week 1 and week 2, and we came back and we had conversations about those healthy habits. But it was in a very relaxed and just very gentle way. So I think I can confidently say that you will always find a welcoming and open environment. And I still have to meet a student that when I've told them just come to the first one and see how it goes, that then got back to me and said, actually, I hated it. There is no pressure to talk. That's something else I really wanted to say. We have students that come and don't say a word throughout. We have students that will write down feedback on a sticky note, and that's again something that we try and do, so that we have non-verbal students that came. It really is open and inclusive, and obviously we can always improve, can't we? We're not perfect, and we're not trying to be, but if there is a barrier, we will try everything we can, and it feels very informal and very familiar, so that's what people can expect. We will ask for feedback at the end. There's always someone that can stay behind, if anybody needs a question, and we are very responsive via email as well. So you get reflective students that go home and then they send us questions, and that's absolutely fine. And it's constantly changing, and it's nothing is set in stone. Co-production keeps changing all the time. It's a journey. That's why I said I think we are very lucky in the college, because we can work with a very creative approach.
If I can just add something very quickly. Chiara's already said a few things that I was going to say, so thank you, because you're much more articulate than I am. But I also wanted to add that, and we always say that, don't we, in the sessions, be how you are comfortable being. If somebody prefers to stay quiet and observe and just listen, that's fine. If they want to chat and share, that's equally as fine. But I always say, when we're out and about at any community events or anything like that, and I say I'm from the Wellbeing College, well, we're not a school. Because as soon as you say college, people might think, oh my God, they're going to ask me to write assignments, and there's going to be teachers and tutors, and I have to raise my hand to speak. And we just did the complete opposite of that. And like Chiara said, the atmosphere is so welcoming and so relaxed. Not to the point that people are falling asleep, but to the point where people are comfortable just being how they are comfortable being. And that reflects in the feedback that we get from students, and we do post that on our social media. You can also see bits of feedback on our Google page, and people really value that friendly approach, and I think, we all wear our heart on the sleeve, and we want to make people feel comfortable, because again, going from lived experience side of things, we all have been and still are, some of us, service users at one service or another, so we know how uncomfortable it can be to access something that you haven't attended or around strangers. So we still remember what it's like, and we know what it's like, so we want people to have that feeling of familiarity and that feeling of no pressure whatsoever. And like I say, the feedback speaks for itself. People say they feel safe and supported. They feel like they get a good amount of information without being overwhelmed. We don't do death by PowerPoints. The sessions are interactive, and there is a nice mixture of information giving, discussions, little group tasks, and a really big variety of things. And we make our own rules, because we are rebels at heart. We never come into a session and tell people how they should be. We always come up with the group agreement together, and people share on the day on how they would like to be within the session.
That's amazing to hear. It is so like focused on the users who come to the Wellbeing College, and like Chiara said, where you can be someone who talks a lot, or you can be someone who says no word at all. There's a space for you at the Wellbeing College, and that's mega to be able to offer that. And of course, it spans across the whole of Stoke-on-Trent. So I'm thinking of some of the buildings. I don't want to name them, but I know that you do some events across the patch as well, which is just meaning that it's accessible for people to be able to get to, which is fantastic. Now, the courses themselves, or the workshops themselves, obviously they're picked term by term. Is there an impact? Do you listen to the users and try and design the next term around the feedback you had from this term? And how do you sort of measure that on the impact to the community?
I think it's safe to say that each prospectus is really well considered, in terms of, firstly, the previous prospectus. What did we have on last term? Where did we have it? What have we got that's new? Where should we put it? Who needs it? What do we know about each town across our demographic? So there's a lot of thought that goes into that.
Yeah, so I was just going to talk about one of my workshops, which it's something I'm really passionate about, which is Think Employment 1 and Think Employment 2. We know that sadly, for those who've experienced a period of illness, or if you're living with mental distress, we sort of come across quite a lot of employment barriers and a lot of stigma. So when you think about that, and you think how that can impact on somebody, like the periods of sickness, loss of employment, or even more extreme, some people never actually return to work. So impact wise, I think employment is it's like about taking gentle steps of navigating recovery, but finding something really meaningful to that person. And I always say meaningful employment, because I think traditionally we were told to just get a job and just pay the bills and just get on with it. But what I hope impact wise is it normalises that a lot of people have employment barriers, and I hope it increases students' confidence in ownership and reclaiming their identity and meaning. But also students see hope in their financial circumstances and work environment. And I think a lot of people who particularly who come to the workshops know that, we talk a lot about the Chime model, which is Mary Leamy, 2011. She's a psychologist at the King's College in London. But particularly just this one workshop, employment, that is your connectedness, that is your hope, that is your identity, that is definitely your meaning, and ultimately we want that empowerment. So I think that's one of the workshops that I'm probably most passionate about. That's what I would like to say.
And I just want to mention, I was having a conversation with a member of my team, and she mentioned also the hard work that you guys do with veterans, and obviously making sure that they have the support as well. Because again, when you said employment, that jogged my memory about the veterans, because that there isn't much support out there, and I think that's something that the Wellbeing College has put on the map.
Yeah, so I sit on the veterans project group with some other people for the trust, and I know as a trust we've done lots of work to raise awareness about veterans and veteran support. But Kiara and I were really lucky to go on some Help for Heroes training. We went off to Nottingham for 4 days, and they trained us for free to deliver a 6-module programme called Veterans Moving Forward. It has to be delivered with a veteran as well, so we've been really fortunate to have volunteers with lived experience working with us to deliver that 6-module session. Really fortunate to be able to offer it in North Staffordshire, because I don't think our neighbouring trusts have had that training to be able to deliver the Veterans Moving Forward programme. And it is something quite different to clinical services and also a different sort of offer from some of our veterans organisations. I think one of our values really is we don't want to duplicate something that's already going on in the community that a partner is doing. We always try and do something together that's slightly different, because we want our students to have the access and opportunities to do something with us and something somewhere else, and to have all those different ideas and chances really to think about their recovery. So Kiara and I, we love delivering it, and because it's the only 6-module course that we've got, we really get to know the veterans well, and there is a video on CTV, I think it is, Kyle.
Yes, and I'll leave a link in the description for that one, because I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, where we had great feedback from some of the veterans who came to the group.
Yeah, that video was amazing. I was really proud of it, proud of our veterans, and that they would do that video for us. And that video's being used by other recovery colleges who are delivering the VMF course as well. So we're hoping to have that on the term, or we will be having that on the spring term, if anyone knows a veteran who would like to come. It's really easy to get in contact with us. I think we've already sort of touched on that, but if anyone contacts us either through the Facebook page, through the college email inbox, via the website and in an enrolment form, Kiara will bend over backwards to support someone to be able to enrol and feel comfortable to come.
I just wanted to add something very quickly about veterans. I promise I'll be quick. I think there's something there about being authentic. There's a better way to say, but it's got a lot of authenticity. So working with veterans, I think it's a cohort of people that if you're not authentic, it's not going to work at all. And the fact that we've engaged so well, and I will say I don't believe in war, and I've got very strong values when it comes to peace, and everybody should be happy with glitter living together. So when I first got involved with veterans, I didn't think I could work with them, and instead I want to say that one of my favorite cohort, because of this relationship that you build with them, and I think being trusted by veterans, and I've been called solid, and I'm saying this to the veterans listening, by a veteran, being trusted by veterans, that should be the feedback that anybody with doubts should use, whether they've got any doubts. It has been, for me, it's been life-changing, honestly, working with veterans and getting to spend time with them, and seeing the barriers coming down, because those barriers were high, very high. So again, if there's any colleagues, professionals listening that see veterans, support veterans, get in touch with us, because famously it's really, really difficult to get them engaged, but I think once they do, it will make a difference. So again, get in touch with us.
One question I want to ask is, how flexible is the Wellbeing College? Because I know a lot of you have lived experience yourself, and you're going to get people and users come to these groups and be inspired to give back themselves, how much influence, and not just with veterans but with any of the workshops, can anyone sort of get involved? Obviously, with the right things in place and training and check-in and all that, is there a chance that someone can join and potentially volunteer and become part of the mission?
Yes, and a lot of our facilitators are either experts by experience or topic experts. They do volunteer their time or have time released to be able to co-produce and facilitate with us. And the opportunities, and I laughed, obviously nobody can see it on the podcast, but when Kyle said, "How flexible are you?" I nearly fell off the chair, because we are very, very, we are as flexible as a stretchy fidget toy. And we do when people want to get involved, or in whatever capacity, we always try to make it work for everyone, and try to we don't like, I said earlier, we're rebels at heart. We we don't like rigid rules. We like to really utilize that sort of personalized, person-centered approach. If somebody's got a specific goal in mind, we always try to make sure that we explore every possibility that works for everyone to make that goal happen. And we want to support people's individual aspirations, whatever they may be, and anyone can be involved. People can become topic experts or experts by experience. They can co-produce, write workshops with other people. Don't have to facilitate, but they can as well. That opportunity is there too. They can have involvement roles where they help us. We've got a volunteer who proofreads our prospectus before it's released, and different other written materials. People can be sort of the face of the college when they come to events with us and talk about the college with us, or share the lived experience. They can welcome students to the workshops and make them feel a bit, help them feel settled and be like almost like a student body. So there is lots and lots of different opportunities for people to be involved if that's something that they want to do. And we try to see what we can do, and if we can't do anything, we try to think, and we always find a way to help that person achieve their goals. If they can't with us, we'll help them find where it is that they can do it.
And I think it's fair to say it's one of our sort of team values, is that it isn't our college, it's everybody's college. We wouldn't be able to put 42 workshops on in a term with just us four sitting in this podcast. There's so much support that we have. So we have to make it really easy for people to get involved, because we need people to get involved. Not only does it bring lots of viewpoints, diversity, lived experience, life experience, work experience, and the students really value that. We just couldn't do what we do without everybody getting involved. As big or as small as those contributions are, we need them and we value them.
I was just going to add on the back of that, for me as well, working and chairing the peer support network. The beauty of the college is that it's so developmental for everyone's, myself included as a peer. I did in previous roles have to deliver programs, but they were programs I was told, what are you about to deliver? This is the content. But it shaped my learning as well, doing all the co-production. And then we take that into the network as a college. And then we're finding more peers are building their confidence. They've not come across co-production. But equally, it's important to notice this isn't just the peer workforce, clinical staff. We have clinical staff who were equally as nervous, and, we were all human, like we've touched on earlier. So I think the beauty of, although we're getting time release, we're developing ourselves and we're developing the trust, as a whole. So that's all I wanted to say.
And I think the Wellbeing College, because it's so passion-led, everyone who's part of it wants to push that. Is it the block? Push the block to get it to go as far. It's done 3 years now. There's obviously a bright future for it, and 40 workshops is amazing to think. You've got to plan all that and get it all to work. And obviously, it's come with having a great team and facilitators. And the fact it has been recognised by the trust itself as well. I think it was the first year you had it. You were part of the Reach Awards, and you were recognised by the trust there. And I saw it on your website earlier. Great to see you guys happy and smiley about being recognised by the trust. So yeah, it's absolutely mega to be able to talk about what you guys do for the community. But I mentioned the future is bright. How bright is the future for the Wellbeing College?
It's so bright you need sunglasses with really strong UV filter. I hope. But I think, jokes aside, we do, we are known for being very, very creative and having very out there ideas and very creative ways of engaging with service users, community people, professionals, whoever. So there is lots of plans that haven't even formed yet that I'm sure we will make it happen. But one of the plans is to, like I said earlier, look at the more co-production around neurodiversity, ADHD, autism, and things around that subject. But we also have a new partnership with Support Staffordshire, and we'll be involved more with Guildhall in Newcastle, which will be our new venue. So we are sort of branching out into that side to reach even more people and create some more exciting things with a new partnership. And we still got lots of workshops coming up before Christmas. And speaking of Christmas, we do have an event in December, which is called This Is Not a Christmas Do. So we recognise that, Christmas might not be the most exciting and the most fun time for everyone. And for a variety of reasons, some people just don't like it. Some people just don't like a lot of chocolate. Some people have bad experiences. And, we thought we would just do an alternative event to a Christmas do, where you often see lots of Christmas do's around that time. So to anyone listening, keep your eyes peeled and keep your ears open, because there will be some announcements coming up around beginning of November about the non-Christmas do, where we still want an opportunity to get together around that time. It is important to come together, us as a college team, but obviously link with the students and link with our partners and friends of the college to have a nice time together and a valuable time together where people can just come along and feel safe and have a chat and have a nice hot drink and have a nice time. And it doesn't have to involve Santa, but there will be nice things regardless. When we talked about new workshops, and that links with what's coming in the future as well, we do also want to look at and are looking at the local history and heritage, and we want to help people to reconnect with it or connect with it, and we all agreed on it as a team that there is so much history locally, not just in Stoke-on-Trent but in the whole of North Staffordshire, that we want to try help people reignite that passion or pride of what the local area used to be and our history and what it still is and becoming. And we've linked up with British Ceramics Biennial, where we had 2 sessions earlier this term where people had an opportunity to explore the ceramics exhibition and have a bit of a information about it, as well as learn some clay making ways and create something and provide that accessible way to explore art in a way that feels safe and familiar to them. We also have another workshop coming up at the Dodson Centre, which is around the pottery industry locally, because we also recognise that the local industries have had and still do such a big impact on the communities, on people's identities, on families' identities, that we feel it's really important to provide a platform for people where they can explore it and like I said, reignite the pride and the passion for it, as well as possibly find a new hobby, a new interest, and a new way of spending their free time. And also for people like myself, who I'm not originally from here, I am very passionate about the local area, and I do want to learn more about it and know more about where it is that I'm living, and I find it really interesting. So, there is something about that meaning and that connectedness and your identity, and thinking about what your identity is, and it goes beyond your life roles, but also your area and your knowledge of it and your pride.
Yeah, and there's so much to take in there. So many events as well. Plug away. Yeah, it's amazing to just hear what's going on and definitely linking it to the local area of Stoke-on-Trent, North Staffordshire, renowned for their crockery and pottery and all that. To the point where you can tell us Stokey abroad when they're lifting up the mugs for the first time to see if they're checking where it's made. So, and it's definitely one of those things to offer something like clay and pottery to give it a go, and it's one of those things we thought, oh, I always wanted to try that, and then you get the validation you were rubbish at it, but sometimes that's even better to just know I tried it. So yeah, it's great to hear what's going on. Obviously it's a lot bigger than just a short podcast, and it's probably not even short in my books, but there's a lot to talk about here. Shireen, Jane, Kiara, is there anything else you want to mention before we come to a close, to just help?
Yeah.
Oh, go on then.
Shaz,
No, Kiara, honestly, you go.
I'll go for. So I just wanted to say, and Claudia mentioned student bodies at one point, and I thought, oh, I need to say something, and I'll use this podcast to invite more students to get more involved with the college. So we talked about volunteering or facilitating, but we also want to set up a student council. We've had a good try in the past, but it hasn't quite grown the way that we want it to grow. And it's really, really important that we have a student council, because the college is the students, like it's the facilitators and it's the communities. But really, I'll be the student advocate voice for the next 2 minutes, and I'll tell all students that to keep the co-production going, we need you involved, and we need you to tell us your ideas, and if we wanted to have college buddies, which is like Claudia mentioned, students that have been coming for longer and feel quite confident coming to workshops, buddying up with students that may be anxious or may not know what they're walking into, or even just giving feedback, because if I keep saying how amazing the college is, but I work for the college and I need more students involved to say this, because as a student I wouldn't necessarily trust me, I would trust other colleges, other students of the college. So please get involved, get in touch with us, and we'll see what we can do with that. And there was just one other thing I wanted to say, which is I've seen a lot of professionals, I'm talking to colleagues now, coming into the college and getting so much out of it, because a lot of you colleagues out there tend to see people when we are really poorly. I'm saying we because I'm a service user, and it's so powerful to see people when they are recovering and they're doing better. And I have seen professionals leaving the room so high, like literally, because they manage to get involved and see when we are doing better. And we've had students that were impatient that then came to community workshops, and that is my magic number one. I think that's when I will put a glimmer in our chat and I'll say, oh, such and such that knew about the college, that came to a impatient workshop, then came to the community. So there is, nobody's too poorly to come to the college. Obviously, if somebody's quite early on and they're not quite there yet, to be able to come to a room with strangers, we understand that, but don't let that stop you, and even as professionals, speak to service users about us, even when they're really poorly, because they will get better and we can be there to support them through that. That's it.
You got anything, Shireen? Or
It was just my reflections really from when the college was launched 3 years ago, and going to, I know we can't predict the future, but I think, like Claudia says, the future is bright, and even in them 3 years you see the growth, and that's not about the number of workshops. I mean, the growth of the students, the growth of the partnership that Claudia works in. And I just wanted to say, sorry, that's what I was going to say, the future, because the college team is so linked in with other projects like the Culture of Care and PCREF, the Patient Care and Race Equality Framework. So the growth, I think it's coming, and it's looking. I just think that there's so much going on, and the college is so, I would say, integrated into other projects. So yeah, so I think the future looks really, really positive, and what's my other word I was going to say?
Innovative.
Right. Innovative.
I think, yeah, I visualize the Wellbeing College as like a tree that's been planted and it's just growing and growing and growing. And just hearing through this podcast, because I get to reflect after listening to all of this. Obviously, you've had working with Help for Heroes, which is obviously a charity, and you're getting involved in that side of things and having all the training. You're then reaching out to facilities like you've got the Guildhall now in Newcastle. You obviously have to build a relationship with them, and it's just spreading and spreading. Those roots underneath is just, growing and growing to the point where it's, trees don't just shrink overnight. So as long as we keep growing as trees do, then yeah, of course, the future is going to be really bright.
I'll just say something quickly. For those that don't know, I'm Italian, and in Italy we say that parsley grows everywhere. Like, you don't need to look after it. And we've got an ongoing joke in the team that we are like parsley. So it's, I guess, a tree, but parsley, it's even stronger, and you just can't stop it. It keeps growing, but it's a good one. So we're not weed. We are parsley. You can use us for recipes. Yes.
I guess that's the skills, isn't it? Then that's the skills of the Wellbeing College.
Yeah, I think there's an absolute undeniable passion in our team, and that motivation and passion based on all of our collective values is hopefully what makes people want to get involved, and, as we say, get on the college bus, and then they don't want to get off the college bus because they come to a workshop and they have a great time and they say, what else can I come to, or what next, or how can I help? So yeah, going back to what we're saying, can anybody get involved? Yes, certainly can. Please make contact with us. We'd love to hear from you in whatever way, shape or form. Feedback, getting involved, topic expert by experience. The college is yours. Give us a shout.
Well, I think that's a wonderful place to end the podcast. And I think we've discussed a lot. Very exciting stuff. And good to hear that, everyone in this call is passionate, some very passionate, which is what we like to hear. You're also quite a modest team as well. You know that the Wellbeing College isn't for everyone, but the fact that everyone gets the opportunity to at least try and learn what you guys have got to offer is just fantastic. So thank you for coming on. Obviously, this is the Combinations podcast hosted by North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare NHS Trust. We're available on Spotify, SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. But thank you all for coming on, and we will hopefully have you back soon.